Australian Liberal MP Nicole Flint has had enough of party politics. Earlier this year, she revealed she wouldn't be recontesting her seat of Boothby following a campaign of vile and sexist intimidation against her by hard-left group GetUp and others at the last election. Last night, she gave a passionate speech on the floor of the House of Representatives.
What I say to the Labor Party today is they may not have held the spray can to vandalise my office with sexist slurs. They may not have held the camera pointed at me by the stalker or called me evil in GetUp's phone calls, but they did create the environment in which hate could flourish.
Hard to watch, isn't it? It's so important that we listen. The brilliant Nicole Flint joins me now from Canberra. Well, Nicole Flint, blistering speech. I don't know what I can say, having seen so much of what you endured all the way through the campaigns. We all saw it. It got national coverage. The smears, the filth across the window of your office, being stalked. You've now got into your feet in the chamber. You've said your piece. How are you feeling getting all of that out there?
Well, Peter, honestly, I wish that I had never had to make that speech. That's the truth of it. But I'm encouraged by the fact that people are now listening, that the Labor Party is now listening, that GetUp are now listening, because my message is a simple one. I want everyone to be safe in Australian politics, and I particularly want women to be safe in Australian politics.
Why can't we come together, though, on this issue? I mean, we saw at the start of the week that there was rallies around the country for a cause that every woman should have been able to support, but it quickly, by lunchtime and beyond, became politicised when the group refused to meet with the Prime Minister, and it became partisan. Listening to your comments last night, there's no doubt you were treated differently, not just from a woman on the centre-right, but because you're a Conservative on the centre-right. You were targeted particularly by GetUp, but by the left. Let's make no bones about it, by the left more broadly. Why are there two standards for women in public life?
I don't know, Peter. I honestly don't know, and there shouldn't be, is my answer to that question. I also was really disappointed that the protesters didn't agree to meet with the Prime Minister. It was a powerful opportunity for them to do so, and I think that it did dilute their very important messages that they were trying to get across, which is every woman in Australia, not just in public life, not just in politics, but every single woman needs to be safe, needs to feel safe, and she needs to be safe. We have to work together on this. That was my heartfelt, as I think you can tell, my heartfelt plea last night to the Parliament, to the media, to everyone watching. We all need to work together. The campaigning that I was subjected to by GetUp, to a lesser extent Labor and the unions, but GetUp and Extinction Rebellion comes straight out of the USA. Peter, we have seen the end result of aggressive, angry campaigning. We saw it in the USA in the presidential elections this year. The extreme left, the extreme right were protesting, were rioting, they stormed Capitol Hill. People lost their lives. So that's why I have been so passionate about calling out the behaviour I was subjected to, because it's the very start of what we have just seen in the USA, and that is not the Australian way. That is not who we are as a nation, and I will use all of my time remaining in Parliament and when I have left Parliament to continue to say to people, this is unacceptable, if it continues to happen. And Peter, I really sincerely hope, and I actually now feel quite hopeful that this week has been seen a big change in Australian politics, a big shift in the conversation, and we all have the opportunity now to work together.
Yes, you're right to point out that GetUp is the Americanisation of Australian politics. When they first came to the fore around the time of the 2007 election, they at least had a pretence then of being a genuine grassroots organisation. That's clearly not the case now. They're very aggressive activists. I'll remind people at home that Christopher Pyne, in and around the 2016 election campaign, met with GetUp. A number of moderates met with GetUp, perhaps to help identify who are the Conservatives in the Liberal Party they should particularly target, because GetUp doesn't target everybody. It targets what they regard as the hard right, which are just Conservatives like you and Peter Dutton, Tony Abbott and others. GetUp said today that this was nothing to do with them. They had a thorough investigation. This is a long-running attempt, they say, or effort to smear their reputation. What do you say to that?
Peter, quite frankly, I'm appalled. I really am. GetUp can claim, and I believe them, that my stalker was not a member of GetUp. But what GetUp can't claim is that they didn't make tens of thousands of phone calls into my electorate last election. They can't claim that their volunteers weren't saying in those tens of thousands of phone calls that I was evil, that I'm an evil person, that I'm a bad person. They can't claim that their protesters turned up constantly throughout the campaign. In the 5 months leading up to the campaign, they turned up to community events. They protested outside my office. They turned up at my campaign launch, Peter, a big group of them, to intimidate me, to let me know that they were following me. And it was, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 days before the actual federal election, Peter, I was with 2 state colleagues who would verify this if they needed to. But they shouldn't, because I hope that I'm now believed. We were doing a little video and some photos for a road infrastructure announcement. There was a sole Labor volunteer across the road at the railway station when we arrived. Within, I'm going to say 7 minutes, there was a big group of about 30 GetUp and Labor volunteer protesters running across the road towards us. We got out of there quick smart, because it was quite clear that that situation was not going to end well. So for GetUp to say that they had no part in the intimidation and the harassment and the following me around and that's before we even get to how closely they were working with the stalker, it's unacceptable and it's inexcusable, and I'm really disappointed that they are still trying to claim that they did nothing wrong, that they didn't make me feel unsafe. They absolutely did.
Nicole Flint, talk to me about Penny Wong. She's the most senior woman in South Australia for Labor, the most senior Labor politician, I have to say, in South Australia. You were pointed in your criticism about her last night. She says she had no role in it. She didn't know any of this was going on. Tell us more.
Well, Peter, again, I'm very disappointed by that statement. Here are the facts. The South Australian media gave extensive coverage to the fact that I was stalked and someone had been charged with a stalking order over that behaviour. They gave extensive coverage to the horrific sexist and misogynistic vandalism of my campaign office that suggested I was a prostitute and a skank and, blow and go, $60 an hour, stuff like that. It was in the Advertiser. We're a one-paper town in Adelaide. It was in the Advertiser, online, in the print edition. It was all over radio. It was on the TVs. I doubt there are any South Australians who didn't know what was happening to me. So I find it a bit hard to believe that Senator Penny Wong, who was paired with my seat, who was on the ground in Boothby giving almost daily press conferences in the lead up to the actual election day, didn't know what had happened to me.
Nicole Flint, I think you are extraordinary. I've known you for about 15 years. It breaks my heart that someone as tough as you has been broken by politics, because at a time we need more strong women in politics, not fewer. Here we are, that you are now departing. What do you want to do once you leave? Have you thought about that?
No, Peter, I'm so focused on trying to make some good come of this. It would be a pretty incredible legacy if we can fix this.
Oh, you're extraordinary. You're making me cry too. Making me cry.
No, Peter, thank you. I know Thank you. Thank you.
More strength to your arm, Nick. Come back on the show anytime. We'll keep them honest, particularly the Labor Party and some of the crocodile tears we've seen in recent days. If we're going to have change, it has to be above and beyond party lines. Nicole Flint, thank you for your time. Thanks. All right, there you go. She is amazing, that woman.